All right, I think we're live. Welcome to the show, the Enjoystick podcast. We don't need to introduce ourselves anymore because our names are down at the bottom of the screen.
So,
But
oh, that's good.
yeah, that saves us like 30 seconds an episode that we can talk about something even less relevant.
Yeah, I think I know why our call quality is fucking terrible too, is because you were bitching about it before we started, but like these advertisements on Skype are getting really goddamn intrusive.
Yeah, uh, I loved when I first called you and it would be like, here's an ad, and it would play, and then it would sit there for like 5 minutes. Then the ad would go away. They're like, oh, just kidding, here's an ad. Like I don't know.
Like, I can't tell you how mad I would be. Like, luckily my computer can kind of handle it now, but a few weeks ago I would have been furious if we couldn't do the show because the stupid advertisement for Ristorante Pizza fucking pops up and they have to animate the stupid goddamn scraping of sauce on this horrible
No, we could
fucking
capture
pizza.
these ads, and then we'd finally be in that boat we've always talked about, where we just automatically like they sponsor our show, and we call them up. Hey, whatever the fuck pizza you just said, you owe us some money.
No, fuck that. I don't want anything to do with Ristorante Pizza. I don't know, it might be good, but fuck it, it can't be good. That's my logic, because this fucking advertisement sucks.
Pretty much.
Also,
all
it
ads
doesn't
suck.
it doesn't look like pizza. It looks like how like if you ever talk to somebody like, oh man, you haven't had real pizza until you had authentic Italian pizza. And it's like, that's not pizza to me. Like, that's not what I'm thinking of when I say I want pizza. Like, that's like some fucking crackery dough with like vegetables on it.
Yeah, and no sauce or cheese. Like real pizza
And
does. It's like the argument that we get all the time around here because we're not Texas, and they're like, oh, real chili doesn't have beans in it. It's like it can if you put beans in it. Like
real chili should have fucking beans in it because beans are good with chili.
And that's the part that really is like the final straw to fuck your stomach up after you've eaten 8 bowls of chili.
And your stomach should be fucked up after eating chili because it's way too good. If there was no punishment, you would do it all the time.
My wife likes to make that. I don't. Why the hell are we talking about food and advertisements?
I don't know. I had a small bowl of mac and cheese, so I'm probably hungry. But
Yeah,
um,
we're eating healthy, but I do have my like podcast bourbon, so
oh fuck, I didn't grab a beer.
yeah.
Probably for the best. I've been taking cold medicine, so probably fuck up my liver and
Yeah,
my
we'll
head.
watch you like turn yellow and die on the show.
Yeah, I got so you knew, and anyone who follows me on Twitter knew. I got fucking sick as hell this weekend, and it did not stop for a few days.
It's like you got PAX plague without having to actually go to PAX. Like,
Fucking seriously, like and it was weird because I was hanging out with friends Friday night, and then like when I got home Friday night, Saturday morning, we go late here in Washington, and like I felt my throat kind of getting scratchy, and I thought it was just a case of like, oh, you're up all night, you're talking too much, and you can learn from this, Ben. Shut the fuck up for once. But then I woke up the next day just feeling like garbage. Next day felt even worse, and then like had to deal with my fucking horrible job telling me I had to go into work anyway. And then like if after working 2 days, like finally a manager showed up where I work who could be like, oh, he's clearly fucking sick. He should not be here. So they gave me the next day off. And
see, that's the thing. Like, I never understand places that are like, we don't care if you're sick. You need to come in anyway. It's like, do you want to get sick? Like, if my coworker calls me and is like, I've been puking all night, it's like, stay the fuck away from me. Like, I'll do the extra work.
And that's what like I said is I don't know how fucking contagious what I had was, but I was super sick, and they wanted me on these shifts where I'm interacting with customers, I'm handling products, and I'm on the phone all the time. So I'm just, fucking breathing into this goddamn telephone, hacking on people and stuff. I'm a walking goddamn infection. and I'm getting told like, oh, if you're gonna skip a day, you need a doctor's note. And it's like, fuck you. You don't pay my goddamn health insurance, so like, don't tell me I need to go to a doctor. Like,
right.
It was just absolutely absurd, and one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. But they did give me a day off, and I think they were just kind of I think they knew I was really upset about that, and so everyone has been really nice to me at work these past couple of days. Like, oh, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm glad. Like, and it's like, because they know like I'm pretty pissed
what
that they made me come in.
Say, how are you feeling? They're waiting to see if you say, I'm feeling like showing back up with a automatic, rifle. Be like, oh.
Oh yeah, I won't go to jail for that. I'm sure no one will have any questions for me if I mention a fucking assault rifle at work. But then, like, the night after they gave me the day off, like that night, I was like, that was when my fever started to break, and those are like, that's like usually a good step when you're sick in terms of like feeling better afterwards, but it's really fucking scary if you're intensely sick, because I was full-blown hallucinating, like seeing shadows move at night and shit. Like, I was so out of it.
Could also be a result of playing all that Metal Gear, like.
But that's it. That's what sucked. I didn't get to play fucking Metal Gear for 2 days. I literally did not have the strength to like be in a computer chair. I just laid in bed and fucking basically drug tripped for 2 days, but it was an awful trip because you're fucking feeling terrible.
See, and I've been like Steam stalking you now that you have a PC and you play on Steam. I was looking, and even like with your sick days, you had like 2 more hours or an hour and a half more playtime than me, and that was as of like when you started playing last night, because that's what made me look. It popped up the little, Ben is playing Metal Gear.
Yeah, I had to make up time.
So, but you already had a couple hours. But I imagine we're still fairly. I don't know how long you played last night, but
about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah,
I want to say.
So you probably gained a bit of a chunk on me, but I don't want to talk about Metal Gear too much because we'll save that for our Metal Gear spoiler cast.
Yeah, I do need to play a bit more tonight, and that way hopefully we'll have some good material for that. We can talk about it in the sense of, because this isn't a spoiler, I'm going to make sure it's not a spoiler, unlike the internet did to me. We were talking about something on this show, and I think in the Metal Gear show, where like we were talking about something in the intro, and I wanted to check on it because I wasn't sure what the answer to a certain question I had was, and so I went on
mute there, by the way.
Yeah, and I also have a fucking dog barking outside my window, so.
Spoiler.
Can't they see that we're trying to do a real show here? Anyway, so I wanted to see if like if I just missed something in the intro or it was meant to be kind of a mystery. So I went to Wikipedia, and instead of like, I was hoping that I could just read like the intro paragraph to the plot. And instead of, geez, man, my throat is fucking killing me. One day I'll be able to talk and complete this thought. Instead of just saying like, oh, this is a mystery, instead they revealed in parentheses what the mystery was, which you don't find out until the end of the game.
Nice.
So like first fucking 3 sentences of the Wikipedia entry. No spoiler warning. They completely fucked me on like a huge plot point, and that pissed me off.
Yeah.
So if you play MGS5 and you have any questions about the plot, don't fucking look it up until you beat the game.
Yeah. It's hard with that stuff, but it's funny because you write those entries, they're writing them as if it's after the fact and you're going back like, here's the recap or whatever. But yeah, if you haven't played, that would piss me off. And I think I know what you're talking about too, but I'll even keep it vague for this because it doesn't matter for the podcast anyway. But yeah, that's interesting. And I've seen people tweet stuff. You know, I did it with the one part of the prologue that was just so like batshit crazy, and then I deleted it real quick because I realized, yeah, that could be. It wasn't a plot spoiler, but it's a really cool surprise part in the game. It's like, okay, I'll delete that off. But it's hard because when people play, they get to parts and they complain about them, or they have comments about them, and just in the complaints or comments, it's a mild spoiler, and it gets to where do you draw the line, like what's a spoiler, what's not. It sounds like what you read's like a complete like Rosebud's a wagon moment, but
yeah, dude, they should not have fucking. They like you. There exists like a this contains spoilers thing for a reason, and like you use that strategically, and somebody just wanted to fucking jerk off to how much they knew about Metal Gear without thinking, like, hey, maybe this is somebody, coming into the series without knowing all the fucking history of Big Boss, and maybe they wanted to know, like, they just wanted to know that they didn't miss something. Yeah. Like, and that's all I wanted. I just wanted to know, like, that wasn't, like, the question I had didn't have this really obvious answer.
Right.
Well, and they fucked me. The internet fucked me again.
Yeah, now you don't need to play the game. You're like, okay, I got the ending. We're good.
Well, luckily, that was not the most important question, I think, that the intro raises.
Yeah, well, probably like the whole game in general. It's weird. Like I said, I really don't want to get too into Metal Gear, but on a vague point, I've completed a number of missions, both like the side ops you don't expect to really be that story focused because they're side ops, but right. I've completed a lot of those, and I don't want to say a lot because that's relative, but a good number of missions, and it hasn't really actually moved the story along in any significant way yet. Now I know there's some things that have to be really soon coming up, just from little tidbits that you pick up, here and there on the Twitters, but it still almost feels like these missions are like setting things up, like, well, here's this technology you needed, or here's this person that you needed.
Yeah.
But I'm still enjoying it. I suck at it. Every single mission is just like spend 30 like real life minutes, not in-game minutes because that's nothing, but like 30 minutes infiltrating a base, being super sneaky and clever, like, because it's awesome how many things the game lets you do if like you're like, hey, this will probably work, and it usually does, and then only to have all that work completely undone by like me coming around a corner and like running into a guard face to face or something like that. Like, oh well, fuck, just bring out the assault rifle. And
yeah, and we can tell like plenty more of those stories on the Metal Gear show, but like, yeah, I am finding, like, I am getting better at it in general, but my lack of patience is still costing me a lot, and I think, like, well, there will not be a better attempt on a mission than my first attempt when I'm really careful and I'm really trying to, like, figure out my approach and shit. It's when I, like, fuck that up and die or, like, get caught. It's after that when I really want to rush shit, and then...
Well, and
then I'm there for an hour trying to, like, brute force my way through.
They give you the flashback option to replay a mission. I think that only encourages me to that, because if everything goes to hell, and I know, well, I'm not going to get all the objectives, or I'm not going to get a great score, but fuck it, I can just run and gun and pray. I'll do that because I know, as opposed to just restarting the whole mission, because I'm like, I can get a bad score, you can always go back and play it,
right?
And of course it makes sense, but every time I replay a mission, and it's odd for me to replay, you know how much I hate repeating content, but I've replayed a handful of missions because I'm like, oh, I bet you can do this, or I bet I could have done it this way. It like really promotes that, at least for me it does.
Yeah.
And I always do way better, but
yeah, so that, I think, it seems, it's kind of weird. It seems like you, me, and, like, literally the rest of the fucking gaming world is just obsessed with this game. Like, I listen to podcasts, and, like, that's all any of those podcasts are playing. And it's pretty...
it's weird in that, like, the other game that launched last week was Mad Max. We probably mentioned it on the show just like in passing because neither of us are playing it.
Yeah.
But
honestly, I probably won't play it at all.
I'm not really planning on it either. And it's not that it looks really bad. It's just I don't have any desire to play it.
Well, we did talk about it. We talked about how where it's landing critically is literally like the worst. Like in terms of like getting your name out there, it's literally the worst place it could have ended up when you're going head to head with Metal Gear Solid, which is fantastic.
And here's the thing, this is what I was going to say, because that's the biggest thing with it, and I even said it last week, and I'll still stand by it kind of, but it's like, oh, it was stupid to launch it the same week as Metal Gear, and Metal Gear is a franchise that has a lot of longtime hardcore fans. I don't think anybody would have expected Metal Gear to have the kind of reception it's having, where not only are the long-term fans, most of them seem to be loving it, but then people like me that have, I could almost say I've never played a Metal Gear game, because for all intents and purposes I haven't since the original. And I'm loving it. Like, I don't think, like, everybody expected it to be, yeah, this is a high-profile launch, but I don't think anybody expected it to be this, like, all-encompassing, like, holy shit, like, very much Game of the Year contender title.
Well, I don't know, like, because it is a surprise, I think, for you and me, and probably a lot of people, just how good that game is. But you can't deny the hype machine behind it, too, and in some ways the unintentional hype machine of, like, what went down between Kojima and Konami, where a bunch of people were like, well, fuck Konami, but we're going to buy this last Kojima game as, like, solidarity and shit. And so, like, this was a game that, like, it was impressing people at all the preview events, and everybody wanted to sort of just, you know, it's kind of weird, like, it was like a fuck you to Konami, but at the same time it's like, here's $60.
Right.
But you know, people wanted to do that, and then Mad Max comes out on the same day, and it's just kind of like, it's all right. You know, and that's really hard to get. It's all right to stand out in a crowd.
Yeah.
You know.
What's interesting to me though is a lot of people that I've talked to that aren't into. I don't want to use like the hardcore gaming, because I hate that. The connotation there's like, oh, better or more validated gamers, but people that play video games but don't necessarily like spend all day on video game forums or in Twitter or listening to podcasts or filming podcasts. A lot of the people I know in that group actually skipped Metal Gear and bought Mad Max, and I think that had more to do with the movie, because they missed out on all the hype. And I think Metal Gear's
intimidating.
Yeah,
too.
If you've ever played one of the old ones, this one's completely different in a lot of respects. Gameplay primarily. I mean, it plays like a modern game finally, where I think, I don't know, I didn't play the last...
It plays... I almost hesitate to even say that, where it's like... Because the advancements it makes in its gameplay is not only better for Metal Gear, it's in a lot of ways better than any modern game out there right now.
It's not like, oh, this finally caught up to. It's like, this is defining a whole new era of this type of game. But I think a lot of people, when they hear Metal Gear, their impression's the old, you know, top-down... I don't remember if I think it was fixed camera from the last one I played. Like, isometric almost, like, run around, hide from guards, dive under a box type Metal Gear. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's not necessarily something that's going to speak to the broader audience. Phantom Pain, I think, does. I think a lot of people can enjoy that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not an easy... Well, it's an easy game in that you can suck at it and still, like...
You can progress, yeah.
Right.
Like, and you have a lot of ways to deal with situations. It's one of those games that it's very easy to kind of pick up and get going, but it's really tough to, like, master all the, like, abilities at your disposal and, like, use everything you got effectively.
Yeah. I was going to... Like, I'll save it for the Metal Gear show, because I keep saying I don't want to get too into it, and that's all we've talked about so far.
Yeah, it's hard
to... I have a whole lot of other stuff to talk about, because that's all I've been playing, but...
Yeah, and like I said, I've been fucking dead, so. But Mario Maker's coming out this week, so I'm gonna have to split a little bit of time, because I want to jump into that. I keep forgetting we'll do this live. We're doing this live because I'm used to being like, oh, when this comes out, Mario Maker will be out. No, for the first time, we're ahead of a release. Go figure. But that looks cool still, and it seems like reviews are starting to come out for it, where it's like, yeah, making Mario levels is awesome. Go figure.
Yeah. Is that something that your brother will be interested in too, or?
Yeah. He honestly has not, like, I've told him about it, and he's like, I don't give a shit.
Well, the reason I ask is I think it could be really fun, because it can be real fun designing a level, but I feel like if you spend all that time designing a level, you won't have that much fun playing that level because you've designed it and you know the nuances of it because you're the one that made them. So I think it would be a game that'd be really fun to have two or more people like go back and forth where you make a level and a friend or something goes through it and then they make a level and I know you can download other people's like levels online. That's the whole point. But
I mean, if nothing else, I know enough people online. Like, I'll get fucking Gamer Crash to pick it up and force him to just play my levels, even if he doesn't give a shit.
If Derek Prim's still alive, I imagine he'll be.
I think Derek Prim is fucking. He's in like a space station now or something, like completely cut off, but always watching.
We're gonna find out that he was actually Hillary Clinton all along, and now she's just too busy with her campaign to talk to us. I was gonna say Donald Trump, but I thought Hillary would be funnier.
Why wouldn't Hillary Clinton want to talk to us?
Well, she's just busy.
We're fucking big.
She's afraid
we're on Twitch now.
She's afraid that they'll find out that she sent emails through her Joystick email address, and then that'll be a whole big like, oh no, Secretary of State. Use Gmail. I don't know. These are terrible, terrible, like, current event jokes. But
so yeah, I'm distracted by my shitty body, fucking taking forever to heal. That's the shitty thing about being sick is like I don't get sick very often, but when I do get sick, it fucking hits me hard, and then like. I deal with like a cough and a cold, and a runny nose for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, see, that's how we were just talking about this because we had some friends over last night, and one of them was sick, and she kept insisting that she's not contagious anymore, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to keep insisting you sit on the other side of the house. But I don't. Tara gets sick at like the drop of a hat. If somebody in China is sick, she has a chance to catch it somehow. But I'm the opposite. I'm exactly like you. Like, I don't get sick very often, but if I do, it's like deathbed.
Yeah, you got hit by the goddamn devil virus.
And then, like you said, mine, I'll have a cough. I'll deal with like chest congestion for weeks. Like even after the actual sickness is gone. So
yeah, like I maybe twice a year. I would say like that's a pretty generous ballpark. Like that's when I usually like oddly enough, like you can almost pattern it with the weather where it's like just after winter and just before winter, or well, just before fall.
So that's what people want
to talk about. Want to talk about not to get sick.
The other thing that always happens to me when I do get sick, it's like because you said you went out with friends Friday. What always fucking happens to me is I'll get really sick, and then as I'm like finally recovering and joining the rest of society, I'll be like, oh man, I've been so sick, and my friend will be like, the same ones that I just went out with will be like, oh yeah, I just got over that a week ago. It's like, you fucking jerk.
You son of a bitch.
Right.
No, like, I'm unlucky in the other way where it's like I get sick and then like as I'm coming out of it and like, hey guys, you want to hang out? It's like, Cam, we're sick.
Oh, so you're the jerk that spreads it to everybody else.
I don't spread shit. Like I wasn't sick when we started hanging out. Like they just it just started to happen. It started to formulate. I think all of us together united and created something far more dangerous than ourselves.
every fucking time for me, and I think it stems from like all of our friends have kids now, but I swear, it's like, oh yeah, when we went out to dinner that night, we were all just getting over that. It's like, yeah, fuck you. You could have. I would have been perfectly cool. You calling and saying, hey, we're sick. We're not coming out to eat. Like,
I would. I still like feel kind of bad. Like I've hung out with friends when they've been sick, and I kind of like obviously you don't fucking drink from the same shit as them or anything, but
their faces.
Yeah, you don't fucking make out.
Not to do that anyway, but.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're not gonna fucking make out with them unless they're really beautiful and you don't care. That can happen. Those situations can happen where you're fucking suicidal because you're not thinking. You're thinking with your heart.
Right. Nothing wrong with that. Follow your
heart. Sometimes that's just enough.
I had something. Rexar and his bear are out for Heroes of the Storm. I know you were dying to talk about that.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't even realize I was keeping with my thing of like letting you know I didn't know what you were talking about.
Because this time, yeah, well, I guess always you literally don't know, but that was just your...
This time it was literally, what the fuck is Rexar the bear? And then I picked up that it was like a Heroes of the Storm thing, and I immediately just didn't give a fuck anymore.
In fairness, I'm not the one that said it. It was Will.
It was Will.
But...
Yeah, he should have been on here. You could have had a full show with him.
We could.
Where is Will?
What would happen though? It would turn into this like, oh, we're gonna do a special like MOBA Heroes of the Storm themed episode, and then we'd actually have like thousands of people watch it, and I'd be like, well, fuck you, Ben. People care about Heroes of the Storm, not enjoy stick stuff.
Well, that's not a competition. Like people care more about fucking like cinnamon sticks than fucking enjoy stick stuff.
It's true. We keep talking about rebranding, and I'm totally down with doing a cinnamon stick podcast.
Not much to say there.
No, really not. But I guess you can put a cinnamon stick in like a glass of apple cider, and it's delightful.
Yeah, I was last time we were doing the show. I was drinking like a grapefruit shandy, and the same company made like a October shandy, which is like just pumpkin. But it ended up just tasting like a cinnamon beer, and it was kind of fucking bad.
See, shandy to me, I don't know what it actually means, but for me it always means like summer beer, because a shandy usually has like
lemonade
or orange, or is that what it?
So yeah, it's
lemon. Do you have a fall shandy? Because lemonade's not fall. Like you can call it a fall beer or Oktoberfest beer. Or
yeah, I don't know. I think what me and my friends didn't like about it though was it probably got me sick, but two, it's not a great like drink continuously, but like it's almost like kind of like any other cinnamon beer I've had, where it's like you can have like one and it's like taste wise it's enough. If you're like trying to like continuously drink beer, not like you should do that, kids. That's bad for you.
Damn it, you just missed me. I was about to say that.
But if you're a fucking pathetic alcoholic with way too much money on his hands and just enough time, it's pretty fucking gross to just keep drinking that much cinnamon shit. So don't do that.
See, it's funny because I think this is true for like most people. But when we first started drinking, when we turned 21, wink, we'd drink beer, but we would like just as often, if not more, be like, oh, let's get some like Mike's Hard Lemonade, or these fruity drinks, or something like a shandy would have been perfect, because it's like, oh, it's got this like sweet flavor to it. And sure. Now, you talk about you can't drink more than one. I probably can't drink a full one. Like that, I just can't. And it's weird because it's not like the amount of sugar, because I drink bourbon and Cokes, and there's like nothing in the world more sugary than Coke, except maybe like energy drinks. But But it's that like sweetness. I don't find like those drinks that sweet, but something like a Mike's Hard or
Yeah,
even
I
a,
can't.
even a lot of those shandies, I couldn't do more than one without.
Yeah, I can't drink like exceptionally sweet stuff. Like to me, I have to find the right. It just kind of has to taste smooth. Like, um, but like I've softened a little bit. I think it's because I went the opposite way when I started drinking, where it was like me and my friends would drink like the hardest fucking shit on the planet because there was a goal in mind. It wasn't about the fucking taste.
You just like inject it straight into your veins if you could.
It's literally only been the last like year or two where I realized, oh, like you can enjoy the experience of drinking and enjoy the benefits of drinking.
Well, I think the thing there is like alcohol in general when you don't drink is gross. I mean, it doesn't taste good. Even like the
It's
sweeter
fucking
stuff.
terrible.
Right. So I think what you have to do is drink yourself silly to the point of like almost killing yourself with alcohol poisoning to build up that tolerance, and then you can drink a beer and be like, yeah, this tastes. You're lying to yourself. You're like, this tastes great. I love this beer. But if you don't go through that like alcoholic stage first, then it's always just like, why the fuck am I drinking this thing that tastes like feet?
Right.
But
I think like I think getting sick of other stuff too, like kind of helps. Where there's like that one thing where it's like I talked about it, like that fucking blueberry beer I was drinking for a long time. Like it was delicious, and now I can't really drink it anymore because of fucking Mario Death Party.
there's always those. So everybody has their own lineup of things that they can't drink because they almost killed themselves with it. Jägermeister's like one of the biggest ones. I like Jäger, but I don't ever buy it.
Oh, fucking Jaeger's awful. I hate that shit.
Yeah. And most of the
It's
people
so
I talk
bad.
to, they're like, "Oh, I hate Jäger," and then I'll be like, "I don't mind it. I used to drink that," and they'll be like, "Yeah, well, I used to drink that too," and then I drank like 6 bottles of Jäger in one night and puked all over myself. And
You could drink 6 bottles of water and fucking not want to drink water for a while. Like
that's the thing. It's like everybody's like, oh, I drank this ridiculous amount and it almost killed me. Now I don't like it. And I get it because your body naturally does that. But
yeah,
well,
hey, body doesn't like being poisoned, turns out.
Like that was one of the more interesting. We're going into educational mode now. One of the more interesting things I learned in school, like in psychology class, they talk about how the reason so many people don't like things like potato salad or macaroni salad is because at some point they got food poisoning off of it, because that's one of those things that people like to take to picnics, but it's also one of those things that it's very important to keep cold, and that's hard to do when you take it to a picnic. So then people have gotten say, even if it's not like I know I'm like hugging the toilet and there's multiple volcanoes like erupting in my bathroom sick, but even just like slightly sick, your body's like, hey, I ate this thing and I got sick, fuck that thing, I'm not going to eat it anymore.
Well, I mean, like I don't think I like drank a glass of milk for like years after one time I drank like some spoiled milk, and like it was literally, it was traumatizing. Okay. I can't, it was so fucking gross. And
yeah, it's funny
like I even struggled to like eat cereal after that,
because your body's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You remember what happened last time we had this?
Yeah, just stay away from it. They never tell the truth on that expiration date thing.
Which makes you wonder how things like raw clams are part of our diet, because like what human cracked open a clam and looked at that like glob of pink snot inside and was like, hey, let's eat this thing?
Bear Grylls.
Yeah. And then, like the first person that ate it, like they ate like 4 and they're like, hey, these are actually pretty good. I like them. I guess not clams. Oysters would be the ones you eat raw. But they eat a couple and they're like, these are pretty good. And then if you eat clams, if you can eat like 4 or 5, it's Russian roulette. You're going to like kill yourself off of one of them eventually. The goal is to just stop before you get that bad one. So that they just were like chowing down like, hey, these fuckers are pretty good. Oh, no. I can't, I didn't know that much liquid was inside me. But we kept eating them because we're humans.
Yeah, Honestly, I've never had an oyster. Like,
it's like salty snot that you suck out of a shell, but they're magnificent.
See, that doesn't sound appealing. I've been dealing with snot way too much these days, so.
No, I just I just realized that I changed the date on our intro screen, but not this screen. So it is actually September 9th, not September 2nd.
September 9th. We got some hot headlines, and by that I mean I have no idea what's going on in video game news. So keep them busy.
Nothing really. There was today was one of those days where I got on Twitter, and everybody was pissed about something, but it was all something different, and I never once figured out what the something was. Mostly because I didn't go search it out, because I'm at that point that you were at last year, I think, or even 2 years ago, where it's like, oh, I have a controversy. How exciting. Fuck it. I'm going to just, like, go read about something fun.
Yeah. Like, well, it's like, and it's almost become this weird kind of parody of itself, where it's like you said, it's just this mishmash of outrage that you can't even follow anymore, where it's like somebody tweets something like about like Quiet's costume is degrading and fucking awful, and then you see like a tweet that replies to it. I know, right? What the fuck, Donald Trump?
Right.
I was like, wait, what? How'd you get to fucking A to B on that? There's a Shovel Knight DLC coming out on the 17th, I think.
See, that's a game that was wonderful, and then I haven't like hardly thought of it ever since I played it.
No, I think about that game a lot because it's great.
What's the DLC?
It's called The Plague of Shadows. You play as the Plague Knight, and it's free.
Free DLC is my favorite DLC.
Yeah, and like that game was so fucking good, and that developer is so cool. And I hope people play it. I hope people have time to play it. I hope I have time to play it.
Yacht Club games, the majority of them came from a big developer that I can't remember if the developer like went under or if they just were tired of working in that space and were like, fuck it, we're going to start our own studio. That was so long ago that I don't remember the actual story behind it. But yeah, they were one of those groups. You hear that story a lot. Like with the first time, it's like, oh, here's this magical story of people saying, fuck the man, we're going to follow our dreams. So that in and of itself, it isn't like, it doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. You see that a lot. But there are people like, that like seem to really understand fans and what they want to do.
Well, Shovel Knight's also one of those examples. Like it's one of the good sides. Like it's a story with a happy ending as far as Kickstarter is concerned. Because so often now, like we see, like a bunch of like like what the fuck did you do with all that money? Why do you need more money? And like why are you making another game? You're not done with the first one.
Yeah.
And now we're like that was one where it's just like, hey, we're making this game. This is what it's like. These are what inspired us while we were making it, and if you want to support it, here you go. And then they made it, and it was fucking fantastic. And that's like sometimes that's all you need to be successful.
Well, and it's a great example of somebody that it's easy to say like we love retro platformers. That's great. A lot of us love retro platformers. So you read that, and anymore that doesn't mean crap, because it's like we love retro platformers and we're going to make a game that's an homage to them. And then you play it and it's like, yeah, it looks like a retro platformer, but they don't get it. It's just a superficial thing. Shovel Knight was from a team that you could tell playing it really understood what they love about the particular type of game that they wanted to make. Like it wasn't just this haphazard paint job over like a crappy game. It really got everything on all cylinders.
Yeah, and they realized like when to be like an homage to what they were, what they were inspired by, and how to combine those elements into its own unique feeling game. Like at no point does it completely feel like Mega Man or DuckTales or Castlevania or anything like it. Shovel Knight's its own thing that like you can tell came about because the developers loved a bunch of things. and that's pretty neat.
It's a great game. If you haven't played Shovel Knight, you can get it pretty cheap now too. I don't think it was that expensive. It was maybe $15 when it launched.
Yeah, I think it still might be around that. I mean, I can check Steam. I have the power to do that now.
Whoa. You didn't used to have the power to, like, breathe and podcast at the same time. It's nice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Shovel Knight's $15.
$15. It's well worth it.
Yeah, I mean...
But if
I got it for free because they're awesome.
Yeah. If you're a cheap ass like me, and you have Steam... It's on Xbox Live, I know. Or pretty sure.
Yeah, it's on...
it's on PlayStation as well?
Yeah, that's what I reviewed it on, re-reviewed it on this year.
Yeah, so we initially played the Steam version, and I thought it came to the other two.
Well, I think, didn't Derek, his original review was for the Wii U? Or 3DS?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I think, that's right, I don't think I reviewed it. I think I just added comments to his Wii U or 3DS review. It's basically, if it has a screen and buttons, it's on it.
Yeah, it's on pretty much everything right now, so go fucking play it.
Yeah, and get some free DLC soon.
Yeah. And you'll be glad you did, because it's not Metal Gear. It won't fucking take your life away. I think we need to start warning people to not play Metal Gear.
Yeah, we'll need a Metal Gear support group. And that'll be one of those games, I say when I finish it. Every game is if I finish it, but...
I've played 20 hours, according to fucking Steam.
Yeah, I'm at 16 already, and for 1 week of release, for me, that's a lot of hours. Especially since we had things going on. You know, it was a holiday weekend, which, as a crappy adult life, that usually means responsibility. It's not like, oh, holiday weekend, stay home and game all weekend.
Right.
So, it's one of those games that I find myself, like, getting up early before work to play. And when you're, like, intentionally depriving yourself of sleep on both sides
you want
of
to play,
because you're staying up late and then you're getting up early to play, that's a good thing, I guess, for the game.
Yeah, I vividly recall, like, as I was, like, fucking hallucinating and coughing and dying, like, I was looking at my computer like, can I get up and go play that? like I'm in like the fucking death throes, and I'm just like, what do I still? Can I squeeze in an hour? You know, and it's weird to be like, oh, I've played 20 hours of this, and I'm at 8%.
See, now,
and I'm not like burnt out or even remotely close. I need
to have you like film something for the spoiler cast where it's just like black and white, and it's just a close up of your hand when you're laying on the bed holding a controller, and you whisper, "Big Boss," and just drop the controller like the... Apparently that's like the only classic movie reference I know, because that's the second time I've made it this show, but...
Big Boss.
And you just drop the controller, yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew this would be a hard show, because it's like, yeah, we have the spoiler cast now, but I haven't been playing anything. Like I said, I played Heroes of the Storm, and... to flesh that out for other people that are interested, that are not been, a new hero came out this week. It's Rexxar. He's a warrior, but he's more the hunter, like, prototype from Warcraft, where he's got a pet. So, like, his whole mechanic is that you send this bear, like, out to fight, but you're also running around. And I have played a little bit of Heroes of the Storm. I love when a new hero comes out, because it's like any game. I know you play multiplayer stuff from time to time. When they
dabble.
When they introduce something new, everybody wants to play it. So I just go back to like my character that I'm good at, or at least relatively good at, and you can like pick apart everybody because they're trying to learn this new character, and it's like a feeding frenzy. It's great. So I've played a little bit of that, and it's been fun, because it's like to see Rexxar and this big formidable bear like charging at you is about the least intimidating thing right now. Now once people learn it, it'll suck, but
yeah. Did you I read a little bit about this, just to not talk about something I have no business talking about. But I thought this was kind of interesting, because Destiny was kind of a game that kind of got a pretty lukewarm reception from people. Like, some people really kind of liked it. Some people just seemed oddly addicted to it in kind of an MMO way, but they seemed that was kind of a love-hate relationship from what I saw. And then a lot of people were just like, this is a real fucking disappointment because that game looked so good leading up to its release. But apparently in a lawsuit, some documents got out that confirmed, like, a lot of the story of that game got thrown out, like, just before release. Like they completely overhauled a lot of what they were trying to do with that game, which seems really kind of interesting and a little bit sad, because it's like...
Because that was the biggest complaint, and that's what's funny. I would argue that out of the people I know anyway that play it, the majority of them seem to fall in that camp of, it's not like, yeah, Destiny is great. It's more like, yeah, I started playing this, so I'm going to keep playing it.
Yeah, I need to level up for some reason.
Or shard essence or whatever. I mean, yeah, whatever. I played it, I rented it and played it for like a weekend and felt like, yeah, this is all right, but a weekend is all I need with it.
Sure.
The biggest complaint was specifically that they hyped it as this revolutionary, like, epic MMO shooter space opera, and then it comes out and there was like no fucking story. It was just a shooter in space with some other people around. And by MMO, it's like the Guild Wars, if anybody's familiar with that sense of MMO, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that play it and you have the occasion to like interact with them throughout, but most of the time you're in like an instance or a mission where it's limited to like 4 or 5 other people. So it turns into basically not an MMO, but like a multiplayer co-op shooter.
Yeah.
With deathmatch like options for the arena or whatever. And so it after being hyped as this like revolutionary, they spent $500 million making it. So you're expecting something like amazing, and it was just, it's good. I mean, it's solid, but it's a shooter. I mean,
yeah, mechanically, and like they always promised it like as it being more than that. And I honestly, because you and me aren't like the biggest Halo fans in the world, I didn't really know if Bungie could do that. I didn't know if they could deliver what they were promising. But it really seemed like once the game came out, it was like, well, this game doesn't seem to really aspire to much more than what it obviously is. And it's weird to see, like, you know, stories like this come out where it's like, actually, this was sort of Bungie, like, not tied down by anything but their creative vision, and then turns out they're tied down by something. And
when you are using $500 million in funding, you're tied down by the $500 million in funding that you investors. Right. It's amazing that they can raise that much money to make a game, but when you do, the people that gave you the money want the fucking game to come out so they can get returns, and it sounds like that's what happened. It was like crap. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is now that you have to wonder how much of that will ease its way back into the game, because the other thing that leaked was the update schedule or the release schedule for the game. And if this is accurate, and you know, I don't know, because I haven't, it's not like I'm digging into the story because I couldn't care less about Destiny, but the schedule I saw showed a major, you know, not patches, but like a major expansion every 2 years up until 2020, when Destiny 2 is scheduled. So they're definitely not like abandoning ship on this at this point, assuming funding or whatever for development continues to come in, or they have what they need. So will we start to see some of that stuff come back in, and will the game evolve into something interesting, or are we just going to get...
Yeah.
And I'm not qualified to talk about the quality of the expansion so far, or even the Taken King is the biggest one. Is that... I think that's coming out.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen people talk about it, but I don't know if they got like some sort of review thing or what. Seems like people are enjoying it, but that's based off of nothing but a few scattered opinions I've seen.
Well, and the people that I've seen that are enjoying it are the people that are pretty
they're
into, you know, they're invested into Destiny already. And I can see that. Sometimes I'd be lying if I said there weren't games out there that had hooked me on nothing more than that stupid, like, casino-esque, like, loot reward loop that the game itself isn't anything remarkable, but it kind of plays on your compulsive like need to continually upgrade your character. That's what Destiny seems to be right now. It's just like,
yeah, not to bring it back to Metal Gear, but I do think Metal Gear is kind of changing like my attitude towards that, because I am fucking obsessive compulsive as hell when it comes to games and trying to do everything in them. And I'm starting to realize, like, kind of, especially as more games take an open world direction, like, you have to give me some pretty goddamn, like, good motivation to do all that stuff, because, like, now we have a game like Metal Gear where there's so much shit to do, and I want to do it all because it's all fun to play. And, like, contrast that with, like, Assassin's Creed, where there's a lot of shit to do, and I don't want to do 75% of it.
Right. Yeah, or like I talked about last week, I don't, who knows when or if I'll ever get back to that, but I had just started Arkham City and all that stuff. I mean, there's that Riddler content there, and I know that just gets worse and worse as far as, like, I know you and most people I've heard say it's at least fun in Arkham City. And then, you know, you get Arkham Knight where it's like, oh, God, I have to do this.
Yeah.
That can really ruin a game for people, especially if you have that need to finish it. That's where I didn't do all the Riddler stuff, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, as much as I love the Riddler stuff, I didn't do all of it until after I'd beaten the game. And you don't have to get the, like, main ending. Like, you can do, like, Riddler has his own sort of, like, side mission in Arkham City, but it's not tied to the Riddler trophies. Like, the Riddler trophies are this completely separate collectible puzzle solving thing. And that's what I liked about them, because it was like, hey, do this at my own pace, and there's no real stake to it. It's just sort of like, hey, how good are you at this, or at these aspects of Batman? And, like, and then in our Arkham Knight, they fucking shat on everything. But like, if you want the real ending, you have to do all these things that suck and nobody wants to do. Ha ha ha. Or you go to YouTube once you beat the game and just watch.
What did I get? I reviewed that, didn't I? I don't remember what I gave it. I know I was harsh.
You gave it like a 6, or it might have even been lower.
I think it was lower. I think I gave it a 5. We will find out.
Maybe.
When my phone loads.
If our, like, website even works anymore.
Our website works. It like, even though new shit doesn't go up on it nearly enough, it works.
You gave it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
That brings up, I just, like, whistled when I breathed. I better not be, like, somehow catching your
through the fucking internet. I just infected all your computers. Ha ha.
It's your master plan. I'm doing it again. I don't know what's going on. I'm concerned. It's a tired discussion, and we've had it before, but it was hilarious because somebody brought up game reviews again and review scores and how it's bullshit that you have a 0 through 10, but you know, in school, F of 50% is a fail, and that's the scale we're all used to because school. But it's bullshit that reviewers can differentiate between, you know, 50% bad and 10% bad. And it's like those.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Like, that's like,
because you're using the school scale, if you ask me, is the one that's bullshit. Like,
honestly, like, the differentiation between a 6 and a 7 is harder to do than, like, bad, like, when you're on that bad end of the scale. Honestly, yeah, when those games are just kind of in that camp of, like, it's alright, you know, it's okay.
Yeah, you're like, is it bad okay? Is it 6,
I can
7,
tell you
5?
Like a 1, which I think I've given, like, I think I gave a 1 to Hand of Fate. Maybe I gave that a 2 just for having a unique idea. But that's, like, you know, I can always explain, like, why I gave those games the score they did. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in the position, like, I've always sort of felt like 1 through 5 is really all you need. But 1 through 10 is okay as well if you want, you know, kind of a broader range. And I mean, if you really like, and like after a certain point, it's like, why are you overthinking the score? Just fucking read the opinion.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it boils down to. People start to the argument becomes, well, these scores are arbitrary. It's just based on opinion. It's like, well, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So is the review. If you had taken the time to read it, the only time I've ever like questioned somebody's scores is only when I felt like they reviewed something with a certain way, with a certain tone, and seemed to express a certain opinion, and then like the score completely goes against that.
Certainly, and
that happens.
I've been guilty of it too, because
yeah, I'm sure I've done it.
But
where it's just like when you write this like glowing review about this game that's so interesting, and then you're like 6 out of 10,
right.
And it's like, did you like it or not? Like, what?
And here's the funny thing about that, though, is in order for that to be your complaint, you have to actually read the fucking review and not just bitch about the score that's attached at the bottom.
I think people get caught up in scores like they do for sports. Like, you just sort of, you get on a certain game's team, and then like you're just watching the rankings on your favorite aggregate site, and it's like, oh, the percentage went down. Who the fuck dropped it? And it's like that fucker at GameSpot fucking
he always
reviewed
does
this.
And there are reviewers out there. There's people I follow specifically on Twitter that it seems like their whole thing is to just wait for the thing that everybody loves and shit on it. Like, well, this is why it's actually bad. And it's like, that's great. But here's the thing with that. I don't read their reviews to decide whether or not I'm going to play a game.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But I don't read just one review to decide if I'll play a game.
Well, here's the real secret. We don't actually play games. We just pretend like we do.
Yeah, we've gotten really good at it over the last few years. We're good at fucking pretending to play games.
I spend enough time on Twitter that I glean enough information to be like, yeah, that mechanic, I hate it. Totally.
Yeah. I forgot what I was in. Oh, like, this is something I've noticed, especially in the GameSpot comment sections, where it's like some reviewers like get like these stalkers sort of who just have to comment on every review they write and bring up shit that like they reviewed like from years ago. And that's my dream. I think that's when I'll know I succeeded in what we do here. When I get one person who's just going to constantly bring up, I gave Arkham Knight a 5 out of 10 or something, because it's always like somebody reviews something and it's like, I'm not surprised he fucking liked this game. This is a guy who gave Skyward Sword a fucking 9 or what. It's like,
that's what I was gonna say. Metal Gear 5, 10 out of 10. I'd be like, yeah, well, this is the same fucker that didn't even finish I Am Alive before giving it a 2 out. I think that was one of my lowest scores.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, if you gave Skyward Sword a fucking 9 out of 10, you're insane, and you should be fucking destroyed by your own
gamer review license, because
I know it's just your opinion, but it's wrong, and that's fucking proven in various labs around the country. But like, at the same time, it's like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, a bunch of people like fucking different games all the time. Like, why are you reading his review if you're so like, you think his opinion is just useless to you?
Well, it's like it drives the people nuts that somebody else might be actually listening to the review. It's like, no, people, don't you realize this is the guy?
Fucking Hyrule Warriors is the best Zelda game since Majora's Mask, and this guy's completely shitting on it.
Can't believe he shit all over this niche game that I'm so proud of liking because it's niche. Like, that's the one that gets me the most, is when people specifically like seem to puff up their chest because they like some game that like the majority of people don't play or don't like, and then get bitchy when somebody doesn't like it. It's like,
and I'm gonna be that way about Metal Gear now. I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna be the guy who hates it. Yeah, that's all. There's a bunch of dynamic gameplay and stuff, but why the fuck do you have to like fly the helicopter to like end a mission, which is a real complaint I have about that game, but it's pretty small.
Well, I see that was something I thought was really cool. It's like I just played a mission where like it's like, okay, you extracted this or that, get out of the hot zone or whatever the fuck they call it, and once I got out, they're like, mission complete. I didn't have to get in the helicopter. I had side ops in that area I could go do if I went into like...
Right. Like, I never have a shortage of shit I can do.
But, like, you didn't have to... The mission didn't end with calling a helicopter and right away into the sunset. Like, it ended when I finished the mission. It's like, yep, you're done. Like,
yeah. Oh. Well, there are a few, like, main story missions that can only end when, like, you get on the helicopter.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean... You have to transition into the determined story.
Yeah, and like you have to, in some cases, you have to get the fuck out of there because the skulls are coming. But I mean, actually, a lot of the main missions you can start from the land too, like because it just says like go to this point, and like Snake will like scan a computer and it'll do the same setup. So actually, that's not even true, now that I think about it. I guess I just like the helicopter. I like flying it. I like going to see my dog. I got the fucking dog.
Oh, that... Yeah, fuck it, I'll talk about it because we'll talk about it again on the show, but that dog... The first time I went back to Mother Base after rescuing the dog, and you get off the helicopter, and your top guys are standing there, saluting you, whatever, and there's this little fucking puppy... that just comes running up to you like it's the most exciting thing in the world. Because if you're a dog owner, that's one of the greatest parts about owning a dog is you get home and the dog's like, holy shit, you're home.
Like, dude, you're back. This is awesome. We're going to party.
Like the one thing in my entire life that makes me actually feel important is my dog being excited to see. Like my wife doesn't even give me that kind of reception. She's just like, oh, hey. But you get off the helicopter and this little puppy just comes like, and they animated so well. And it's just this tiny little thing. And it just comes like, charging up to you like, hey, you're back, and that was awesome. Except you couldn't pet it or pick it up. That pissed me off.
Yeah, I wanted to fucking just play with the dog all day.
Right.
But yeah, we'll talk about that more on the show. But that's the ultimate fucking puppy simulator right there. Yeah, I actually kind of like getting on the helicopter and going back to base and shit. Like, it almost feels like not only does your character need to do it, like, you need to do it a little bit and, like, just sort of, like, decompress. Because, like, I just had fucking mortars launched at me.
Yeah. And I like the way... Well, fuck it. We'll save it for the Metal Gear show. Which will be full of spoilers, yeah. So if you want to hear about Metal Gear, but you don't want spoilers, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
To your particular audience.
Spoiler, there's a puppy. Suck on that. Didn't want spoilers? Tough shit. Shouldn't watch the show. Now you're fucked.
I can't believe that they, like, killed the puppy, though, by throwing it into the rotor blades of the helicopter.
I can't believe Snake did it. Like, it seemed out of nowhere. He was, like, so happy to see the puppy.
Like, yeah, this puppy will probably provide useful in the future. And like, fuck this puppy. I'm a cat person.
Snakes don't have dogs.
He just swallowed it whole, because that's what snakes do.
I can't be fucking mopey if I have a cute puppy on our base. I can't smolder with rage if I'm fucking holding this adorable puff. Now throw it in the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we keep going back to Metal Gear. I think I don't know how long we've been doing the show, but we might have to call it a short one today.
Well, I was kind of planning on that anyway because I think my wife's getting back soon, and she was leaving. She's like, "I won't be long." I'm like, "We're doing the podcast," and she kind of looked at me like, "Yeah." I'm like, that was my way to say I don't really want you like walking in and throwing a bunch of shit down and making a lot of noise while I'm doing the podcast. Because we're professional.
I don't care.
It'll
be your.
If the 6 people that watch this had to put up with that.
I've just had fucking dogs barking and I've been coughing and sniffing the entire show. Like, this episode sucks.
I love you've got like a stealth mute button there on your cord, so I can't see you press it, but I just see you talking, and then
you
the
see me
sound goes
cough,
away and you're like,
yeah,
and your face is all distorted, and it's like,
yeah. I don't want to fucking blow people's goddamn ears out.
Yeah.
I'm a professional.
See, I have never.
Still should have had Will on the show.
I've never once owned a microphone that has a convenient mute button. Like this one does, but it's like up here on the body, and I have to hold it, and it doesn't. Yeah. Although, it's probably good that I don't have that convenient mute button because I'm the kind of person that would hit it and forget that I hit it.
I do it all the time.
Yeah. And now that we're like live with video, that would be extra great because you'd just be like.
Yeah, it's kind of like that scene in Forrest Gump where he's like talking to all the hippies in Washington, and like the fucking mic goes out, and he's just like, and that's all I have to say about Metal Gear.
And everybody goes batshit wild.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a show. I don't know when we'll record the next Metal Gear show. We can really do it about any time. I think we both want to play a little more.
Yeah, I want to play at least a little more tonight. I work tomorrow, but that's only like 7 to 11, so we could do it tomorrow. Friday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I'm taking some time off of work, so I am technically free those days, but probably want to just sort of lay low and
decompress
and enjoy my birthday.
Drink some cinnamon beers.
And play Metal Gear and make levels in Mario.
So what we're getting at is if you want to listen to the spoiler cast, you're going to have to watch our Twitter stream, which is it down there at the bottom of the screen because we have handy graphics. But for the audio version, if we ever get around to doing that, it's at Enjoystick on Twitter. There is a episode 1 of the Metal Gear spoiler cast on YouTube, so check that out. It's easy to find. You just go to YouTube and type in Joystick and pow.
I don't know how long we plan on doing it, but probably until we're done with the fucking game.
Yeah.
So
or something else comes out and we're like, oh fuck Metal Gear, this game's crap, this new one's awesome.
Mario Maker cast, go.
Well, you see, I was placing this brick, and then I got this idea like, whoa, what if I place this thing here?
Dude, it was fucking awesome. I shook Bowser, and he turned into a puppy.
And I had my bullet bills timed just right, so you had to, like, jump, duck, jump. Well, there's no ducking in Mario, but whatever.
There's ducking. What are you talking about?
Okay, there's ducking in Mario. You can tell how long it's been since I played a Mario game.
Well, play Mario Maker, the ultimate Mario game.
I don't have a Wii U.
Not with that attitude, no you don't.
So, anyway, I'm tired of talking. I can't believe you still can talk.
Yeah, I'm fucking done. I'm done with this show. Until next time.
Yeah.
Haha.
Play us out on the podcast title screen.